Have you ever reached a point where you realize you can't rely on anyone, not even family? It's one of the hardest truths we face as we age, that the emotional and practical support we once expected from family starts to shift, shrink, or even disappear. Kids get busy. Siblings have their own health problems. Friends move, fall ill, or pass on. And suddenly, you're left wondering, who's really there for me? Now, that question can hit like a brick wall if you're not ready for it. But here's the good news. You can be ready. In fact, you can build a life at 70 or beyond where you feel strong, grounded, and unshaken no matter who stays or goes. This video is not about being bitter. It's about being wise. Because real support, the kind you can count on in the middle of the night or on a lonely afternoon, often doesn't come solely from family. It comes from 5 other sources that most people overlook until it's too late. These 5 things are the real backbone of a peaceful, independent life in your 70s and beyond. They are the quiet, powerful forms of support that don't disappoint, don't grow distant, and don't leave you feeling like a burden. Stick with me because what I'm about to share may just change the way you think about aging and how powerful you truly are. Now let's get started. Pillar number 1. Cultivating mental agility, the power of a sharp mind. When you're in your 70s, the ability to think clearly, learn new things, and adapt to change is not just about memory. It's about freedom. It's about dignity. And in many ways, it's the single most important support you can have that doesn't rely on anyone else. Mental agility means you can manage your own finances, understand new technology, engage in stimulating conversations, and make informed decisions about your health without constantly needing someone to explain or assist you. That's power. That's control over your life. And most importantly, that's a kind of emotional support that no one talks about because it gives you confidence and reduces fear. When your mind is sharp, you worry less about being a burden. Now, let's be honest. Staying mentally agile after 70 doesn't mean becoming a rocket scientist or memorizing encyclopedias. It means actively challenging your brain, learning new skills, and staying curious. Small habits like reading every day, doing puzzles, learning a few words of a new language, or even trying a new recipe can make all the difference. And it's never too late to start. Many people think the decline in cognitive function is inevitable. It's not. In fact, the more you use your brain, the more it fights to stay sharp. Your brain listens to your actions more than your age. Psychologically, mental agility helps combat a deep fear most older adults carry, the fear of losing their mind. When your mind becomes dependent, your spirit starts shrinking, too. You begin to second-guess yourself. You stop planning outings. You avoid trips. You decline invitations. Not because you're uninterested, but because you fear not being able to manage. That's not aging. That's shrinking. And you don't have to live that way. Take Eleanor, a 78-year-old woman I met at a local library. She spends an hour every morning doing crossword puzzles and reading nonfiction books. I asked her once why she's so committed, and she said, "Because the moment I stop learning is the moment I start waiting for someone to think for me. And I don't want to wait. I want to live." Her memory isn't perfect, but her mind is active, and it gives her peace. She still manages her own investments, still researches new hobbies online, and still engages in lively debates with her friends with pride. Not because someone else is doing it for her, but because she refused to stop learning. The reality is when you invest in your brain, even a little bit, it gives you back a level of freedom most people don't appreciate until it's gone. Family may not always be there to help you understand complex documents or navigate new apps. But if your mind is sharp, your curiosity is alive, and your problem-solving skills are steady, you can delay those needs. You can keep your independence longer than most expect. And that's the kind of support that gives you confidence. Not just mentally, but emotionally. So, if you're feeling a bit foggy or unchallenged these days, that's okay. Don't judge yourself, but start where you are. Learn a little more today than you did yesterday. Read a chapter while you wait for your tea to brew. Try one new puzzle. Because every small effort builds something big. Your own reliable foundation. A foundation that thinks beside you every step of the way, no matter who else shows up. Pillar number 2. Building a diverse social network, beyond just family. When you reach your 70s, peace of mind doesn't come from how many family members you have. It comes from knowing you have a diverse network of connections, friends, neighbors, community members, and even acquaintances who provide different kinds of support without fear or shame. A diverse social network is one of the strongest supports you can rely on, and it's one of the few you can actively build and control without needing anyone else. You see, relying solely on family can become emotional baggage, juggling expectations, feeling guilty for needing help, or sensing that you're a burden. It's not just stressful, it eats away at your sense of stability. And when you're older, stability isn't just about comfort. It's about survival. Because no matter how much family loves you, they can't always be everything. But a clear, simple network of varied connections can carry you through the roughest patches, like a sturdy cane for your soul. And here's the thing most people miss. Diversifying your social connections doesn't mean giving up on family. It means gaining more support. A modest social life that fits you, not someone else's expectations. The freedom to ask for different kinds of help from different people without second-guessing every interaction. It's like having a well-stocked pantry. Once things are in order, your brain can rest. Psychologically, a diverse social network removes one of the biggest sources of late-life anxiety: loneliness. Many older adults lie awake at night wondering, who will check on me if I fall? Or what if I can't get to the doctor someday? And these questions haunt them more than physical pain. But when you know you have a few friends for a coffee chat, a neighbor who can water your plants, or a community group for shared interests, you sleep better. You walk taller. You feel steadier. Let me share something from my neighbor, Thomas, a 74-year-old widower who once worked as a teacher. After his wife passed, he felt incredibly isolated. He sat down with a grief counselor and decided to join a local walking group, a weekly card game, and started volunteering at a food bank. He told me, "I used to be afraid to leave the house. Now I look forward to every day because I know I'll see someone, talk to someone, and feel useful." He even started a small connection jar, just a note here and there to remind him of a kind word or a shared laugh. But it reminds him that he's in charge of his social life, not the other way around. What Thomas did wasn't magic. It was choice, a quiet, deliberate decision to diversify his social life, so he could focus on living, not just surviving. And here's the most powerful part. When your social network is diverse, you need fewer people to manage them. You don't have to call your daughter every time you need a ride. You don't have to wait for a family member to explain a new hobby. You can handle it. You're the captain. So, if you feel overwhelmed by loneliness right now, take a breath. You're not alone, and you don't need to have dozens of friends. You just need to be clear. Reach out to one person you haven't spoken to in a while. Join one local group. Offer a helping hand to a neighbor. Make it so simple you could explain it to a friend over a cup of coffee. Because in the end, peace isn't in the numbers. It's in the knowing that you belong. Pillar number 3. Mastering practical life skills. Your everyday independence. At 70 and beyond, your strongest support isn't your children, your neighbors, or even your doctor. It's your mastery of practical life skills. I'm not talking about complex professional abilities. I mean the small, steady actions that you repeat every day to keep your household and personal affairs in working order. This is the kind of self-reliance that builds true independence. Because when your daily life feels manageable, so does your spirit. You see, many people wait until something goes wrong before they start paying attention to their practical skills. But that's like patching a leaky roof during a thunderstorm. It's reactive, and it keeps you in crisis mode. Mastering practical skills flips that. It puts you in charge. When you can pay your bills online, manage your appointments, cook simple meals, do your own laundry, or navigate public transport, you're creating a rhythm of respect for yourself. And that rhythm carries you forward on the days when motivation is low and the body feels heavy. There's a hidden power in routine, especially in later years. Psychologically, routines reduce anxiety because they remove decision fatigue. You don't have to ask yourself, should I do this today? You just do it. That predictability creates stability, which leads to confidence. And confidence is what keeps you from feeling like a burden on others. It lets you say, I'm still capable, I'm still in motion, and I still take care of me. Let me tell you about Maria, an 81-year-old former seamstress I know. Every morning at 7 a.m., she checks her online banking, reviews her calendar for the day, and plans her simple meals. She told me once, It's not about being busy. It's about telling myself every morning that I still matter and I can handle my own life. That hit me because Maria's routine isn't about perfection. It's about identity, about staying connected to the part of herself that refuses to quit just because the years are adding up. And here's something you might not realize. When you master practical skills, you actually need less help, not more. You're less likely to forget appointments, less likely to feel overwhelmed by paperwork, less likely to feel lost in the day. It's like building a sturdy path in a foggy forest. Even when things feel unclear, your feet know where to go because they've walked it every day. That's real support, and it doesn't depend on anyone but you. Of course, some days are harder than others. Your energy dips, or a new technology seems too complicated. That's okay. The routine can be flexible. What matters is not perfection, but consistency. A little time spent organizing your papers, learning one new function on your smartphone, or practicing a simple recipe. These aren't big tasks, but together they become a net that catches you, holds you up, and keeps you moving forward with grace. So, if you're feeling stuck or you've let your practical skills slide lately, start small. One habit, one action, because every time you show up for yourself, you're proving that you are your own best caregiver. And that's a kind of support no one can take away. Pillar number 4, nurturing spiritual well-being, finding inner peace. If there's one form of support that grows more valuable with age, it's spiritual well-being. Not money, not even health. Because when your spirit is strong, you can weather just about anything. Loneliness, grief, setbacks, and yes, even the disappointments that sometimes come from family. Spiritual well-being is what lets you sit in silence without feeling empty and face hardship without feeling destroyed. At 70, life has likely already thrown you a handful of losses, maybe more. A spouse passing, children drifting away, health declining. And the mistake many people make is thinking that spiritual strength means never feeling sad. That's not it. Spiritual well-being is about feeling deeply but not being drowned by it. It's about letting the sorrow pass through you, not take root in you. This kind of strength doesn't come from pretending everything's fine. It comes from telling yourself, this hurts, but I can handle it. And the truth is, every time you do that, every time you sit with pain without running from it, you become less afraid of what's next. That's powerful. That's liberating. You're not leaning on others to carry your sorrow. You're learning how to hold it without it breaking you. Let me share a story. There's a woman named Clara, 77, who lost her husband 5 years ago and lives on her own now. I asked her once, what gets you through the hard days? She said, I light a candle every night and spend a few minutes in quiet reflection, not because I'm religious, but because it reminds me I'm still here. I cry some nights. I laugh others, but I always tell myself, you made it through today. That small ritual is her way of honoring her pain without letting it swallow her. That's spiritual well-being. You see, spiritual well-being isn't just about surviving the big tragedies. It's about managing the small disappointments, too. When your son doesn't call, when a friend moves away, when you realize you can't do what you used to, if you crumble every time something shifts, life becomes too painful to enjoy. But when you have spiritual strength, you gain freedom. You're not at the mercy of other people's choices or the world's changes. You're steady because you choose how to respond. Psychologically, nurturing spiritual well-being rewires your brain. It helps your thoughts slow down. It teaches your nervous system not to overreact. It builds confidence that you can face uncertainty and still be okay. In an older age, when so much is uncertain, that's one of the most valuable gifts you can give yourself. Now, if you're wondering how to build spiritual well-being, it starts with awareness. Talk to yourself with kindness. Allow your feelings to be real, but don't let them run wild. Find small grounding routines like writing in a notebook, walking in nature, or simply listening to calming music. And remind yourself often that you've survived every hard thing up to now. That's not luck, that's strength. So yes, family may fade, health may falter, but if your spiritual core is strong, you will still stand clear-eyed, steady-hearted, and rooted in the quiet knowledge that you are enough all by yourself. Pillar number 5, embracing adaptability, thriving amidst change. There's something deeply powerful about having the ability to adapt especially after 70. When the world around you shifts, when people let you down, and when the future feels uncertain, your adaptability becomes your compass. It tells you who you are, what matters, and how you want to live, no matter what anyone else does. Too many seniors lose their sense of direction because they've spent a lifetime living by rigid expectations. They were the good parent, the faithful worker, the supportive spouse. But once those roles fade, they're left wondering, what now? That's where adaptability steps in. It says, this is who I am, and this is how I live, regardless of what changes around me. A strong sense of adaptability might include things like openness to new ideas, a willingness to learn new technologies, finding new ways to connect, or adjusting expectations with grace. These aren't flashy. They're not impressive to anyone but you. And that's the point. When you live with adaptability, you stop needing things to be exactly as they were. You stop chasing a past that no longer exists. You stop being rattled when something unexpected happens because your peace doesn't depend on external circumstances. Let me tell you about Arthur, a man I met in his early 80s. He once said, "My secret? I just roll with the punches. My body changes, so I find new ways to move. My friends move away, so I make new ones. Technology gets complicated, so I ask my grandkids to teach me." And every day, Arthur lives by that. He's not rich. He doesn't have a big family nearby, but he walks around with a kind of quiet dignity that's rare. Why? Because he knows how to adapt. His adaptability anchors him. Psychologically, embracing adaptability helps reduce anxiety and regret. It makes your choices simpler. You don't lie awake wondering, what if things were different? Because you already know how to make the best of what is. It also builds internal stability. When life throws you a curveball, and it will, you're less likely to panic. You'll think, how can I adjust to this? And that becomes your guide. In fact, studies in elder psychology show that seniors who embrace adaptability report higher life satisfaction, lower anxiety, and better cognitive health. Why? Because flexibility brings calm. When your life has a through line of resilience, it keeps you grounded. But here's what's even more important. Your adaptability is yours. No one else needs to agree with how you adapt. You don't have to explain it. You just have to live it. That's what makes it powerful. Whether it's finding new hobbies after retirement, learning to use a new phone, or simply adjusting your daily routine to accommodate new physical realities, whatever ways you embrace change, hold on to them. Let them carry you. Because when you can look in the mirror at 75 or 85 and say, I lived according to what I believe and adapted with grace, that's real success. That's real self-respect. And no one, not your children, not society, not even time, can take that away from you. It's the kind of support that never fades because it lives inside you. And in the end, that's what this journey is about. Not being remembered by everyone else, but being at peace with yourself. Adaptability gives you that peace. It's not loud. It doesn't boast, but it holds you up quietly, faithfully when everything else changes. Final thoughts. Becoming your own unshakable foundation. You know, as we age, we often find ourselves reflecting on who really stands beside us when the lights are low and the days grow quiet. And it's not always who we thought. Family, friends, even our own bodies can become less dependable with time. But that doesn't mean we're left with nothing. In fact, the older we get, the more we realize that some of the strongest supports in our lives were never outside of us at all. They were within us, waiting for us to lean on them. Maybe it's the quiet strength of a sharp mind, the comforting rhythm that tells your brain you're safe, you're grounded. Or maybe it's the joy of diverse social connections, things that make the hours feel meaningful even when immediate family isn't around. These are not just hobbies, they're lifelines to our own identity and purpose. Then there's mastering practical life skills. Something as simple as managing your own affairs can spell the difference between independence and dependence. It's a truth we don't always want to hear, but it's one that gives us the most control over how we age. Taking care of yourself isn't vanity, it's wisdom. We also talked about nurturing spiritual well-being, finding that inner peace that transcends external circumstances. When your spirit keeps growing, so does your sense of relevance and resilience. You don't fade away, you adapt, you evolve, you surprise even yourself. And perhaps most quietly powerful of all, We explored embracing adaptability, a willingness to flow with life's changes rather than fighting them. That's your compass. That's your armor. That's what allows you to age with dignity and die with peace. So what does this all mean? It means that the most reliable support system after 70 might not be a person, but a mindset, a way of living rooted in habits, beliefs, and practices that keep you steady no matter what the world does. It's about becoming your own foundation. Because when you can stand strong alone, you never really feel alone. That kind of inner strength isn't just comforting, it's liberating. Now, here's a gentle challenge for you. Take a moment, maybe after this video ends, and ask yourself, which of these supports do I already have in place? And which one do I want to build up starting today? Don't be afraid to start small. Big changes begin with one quiet decision made in the privacy of your own heart.